What's up, Tyler?
How you doing, man?
What's up, everyone? We're back. We haven't done one of these in a while, as you can see behind us. Tyler leveled up and got himself a new gym. So our previous episodes were called No Rules, and we weren't really getting as reckless as we could be. So the new installment of this is going to be called Lab Talk, where we're going to talk about, NBA players, who's been in the gym, grassroots hoops, everything basketball. So first and foremost, for those that don't know, Tyler, new gym, congratulations.
Appreciate you.
Took a while to get a lot of things going on with the gym and things like that. Most people think, you just say, let's build a gym and it happens. But your patience and stuff like that from, everything, I think the city's really benefited from the jump. Kind of just talk about, what are we, 3 or 4 months in now with the gym?
Yeah, I think, what is it? It's about to be May. We started in late January. So, yeah, about 3 months in. And, it's been going good. And, I think it's giving kids...
Shut up! Julius Randle, bro. No, my bad. My bad. Let's be real loud for a second, man. I'll say this. Congrats on the gym, bro. But listen, it's getting to the point where your name's getting mentioned as it should, but he's taking his game somewhere that, I don't even, I see some Tyler Relph stuff in there, but then I see some stuff that's just...
Yeah, I mean...
He's playing like one of the best players in the world right now. Because kind of talk about what your goals and his goals were going into the season. It was like, let's be in that all-star.
Yeah.
Just that, at least the conversation.
Yeah, I think before the season it was, we wanted to be an all-star. We thought we had, he had a chance to be an all-star. But now, like you said, I would say he's playing like a top 10 player in the NBA. From a standpoint of winning, I think that's the biggest thing. I think that nobody expected the Knicks to be where they're at. I think they were picked 30th, in whatever the rankings they do, and then they just did the power rankings and they're 10th.
Mm-hmm.
So, the best player on, a team like that, and it's just the whole group, man. It's RJ Barrett, it's Rose. You can see his maturity and just how he influences guys on the team. And I think Julius has taken a leadership role and become comfortable in this position. I think Tibbs and the staff's done a great job because he's a point forward.
Yeah.
And I think they put him in situations where his skill set just comes out. I think people didn't realize what he could do with the ball. I think people that are close to him knew what he could do with the ball. But I think the world is starting to see it now, and his game is just taking off.
So with you, I know it's family. So early on in the season, you'd have a couple 20 and 10 games where okay, the work's benefiting from everything. For those that don't know, or maybe you were watching our YouTube channel this past summer, the Knicks didn't make the bubble. Mm-hmm. So Julius was in Dallas literally every day training with Tyler, getting his body right, training as if he had a game the next day. So just for everyone around his circle to kind of see early on in the season that, he took his game to another level. We didn't know it was going to be all-star. We just didn't know. We didn't know what the Knicks were going to be, but early on it looked good. But for you, what you kept preaching was the Knicks have to finish and win these games. And right from the early in the season, I didn't really understand, okay, the Knicks aren't supposed to win. Why are you so worried about them winning? But you understood that 20 and 10 on a winning and a playoff team not only helps his case for an all-star, but, now we have MVP chance. We're talking about all NBA teams and stuff like that. Just kind of give the viewers kind of your experience, when you watch these Knicks games and how invested you are. Because, we have multiple TVs on in here. You'll be training, and it'll be a 3-point game with a minute to go, and you'll stop the training session and say, everybody, hey, just hold on for a second.
I don't know if it gets that far. But, yeah, I lock in. I think the first thing Julius is a winner.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what he's always wanted to be. I'm just invested in the Knicks. I'm from New York.
Right.
So, the Knicks mean a little bit more to me. And now that, Jew is on the Knicks and the Knicks are finally winning again, I think there's just a buzz, around the Knicks in New York, but nationally now. And, I got friends all over the state of New York that are talking about the Knicks and Jew and all that stuff. So it was a great buzz. But I think the thing is you saw early on, defensively, the schemes that Tibbs put in and the way they were guarding people, and you could see, all right, once the offense catches up and they figure out how to play with each other, like this team could be good. I didn't think they would be where they are now, to be honest, but you could see it early on, and so like every game matters. We got 10 left now, and tough one against Phoenix last night, but they got Chicago coming up, Houston, and then I'm gonna fly out and go see them in Phoenix, and then they got a tough West road swing, and then they finish with Charlotte and Boston, which that Boston one could be
facts
for the 4 or 5 seed,
and I think you flying out to Phoenix means a little bit more after yesterday's game. I think they want that game even. And I'll say this, for those that didn't see yesterday, Chris Paul hit an absolutely crazy shot.
2, 3 shots.
The one that Julius was checking him, it was Julius played really good defense.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I think that's the other thing. Julius become a better defender.
Yeah.
And I think he's locked in. I think that's got a lot to do with like what type of shape he's in, and I think Tibbs just coaches the guys. Tibbs is just the whole staff. They're just way better. They're just really locked in with the guys. They don't allow the guys to get away with the little things. And that's what great teams do, and that's what good defensive teams do, is they lock down, they know what their, the people are guarding, what their tendencies are, but then they also, stick to team defense, and they've been phenomenal with it.
Right. So as we transition into another segment, I want to talk about the fact that we get a lot of YouTube comments, and I feel like if you're the type of person that comments on YouTube, you want some attention. So we're going to give it to them right now. So I'm going to pull up a few YouTube comments from some of our training sessions with Julius this past summer. This one from Juan Gomez. Shout out Juan Gomez if you're watching this. Thank you for your support, man. We really appreciate the comments. So we're going to read one of your comments for you. Juan Gomez. In response to Julius Randle playing you, Jarvis, some one-on-one actions and stuff like that. He don't play winning ball. He look real good against 6-foot white dudes. I'm assuming that's you.
Probably, yeah.
Busting you, okay.
I think I'm 6'1.5".
6'1.5", so we don't know who he's talking about, possibly you. In the season, he would pump, drive, and spin into a double team, then throw the ball away. He's a team's third best option, and I'm a Knicks fan. Juan,
you're probably pretty happy right now.
Yeah, so feel free to comment on this with your new assessment of Julius Randle, and always finish with that you're a Knicks fan. Thanks, Juan. All right, let's see. What else do we have? Like I said, this is just showcasing, thanking our guys that comment and the fans. So this next one, Bag TV. I said that Julius.
The guy's name is Bag TV?
That's what his YouTube account is.
Bag TV.
Bag TV. So my caption on this video was, Julius Randle isn't fair. And he responded, they've been saying that about him for years, with the sleep emoji. I responded back on behalf of you, which sometimes I do. The only times I tell you about a YouTube comment is when I know it's gonna make you really, really upset, because then you'll, get in your bag with the Twitter fingers and all that stuff. So I responded back, he's only 25. A lot of times they don't respond back after that. It feels like it's a fair point, that he's just getting better. But Bag TV, we're gonna give you this attention that you deserve, my man. He said, and okay, as to okay, he's 25, so what? He's a good player, but he ain't nothing special. I'm a Lakers fan, by the way. See how they do that? They'll say something negative and be like, no hate because I'm this. He said, I'm a Lakers fan, by the way, and yes, before LeBum came to our team. So, Bag TV, he's a good player, but ain't nothing special.
Can we go to the LeBum comment?
Oh, yeah. So the thing is, do we take him credible at all? Because, first of all, he's hating on Julius, and now he's...
If you hate on LeBron, what are you talking about?
LeBum, and he just got y'all a ring?
He's a top 5 player in the world, or in the history of
Yeah.
basketball. There's no bum attached to LeBron.
Bag TV, we're gonna give you another shot. Comment below on this video if you're watching. You know, just explain yourself, man, because it's about you right now, and we're giving you this moment. Come on, bro. La bum, ain't nothing special. Just a lot of stuff in there that, you know, we got to figure out on your behalf. So now one more, Mo Arifav. Not sure if I'm saying that right, bro, but you know, this segment's about you. So, you know, correct us in the comments if we said your name wrong. Thank you for your comment. Here it is. He's the true definition of wasted talent. Once he steps foot on an NBA court, he's a walking turnover with that shitty-ass spin move. And I will say this, that's what a lot of people were upset about, the shitty-ass spin move. Mo, do us a favor, comment below. Start with his shitty-ass spin move, but then give us 3 things that you think he's good at. I don't know if you're a Knicks fan or you're just a Hooper fan, but like, bro, this segment's about you, so you can make the segment how you want, defend yourself. If he still has a shitty-ass spin move, say that.
Yeah.
But I mean, this segment's about them. It's not hating. We're just, you know, they're good comments.
Are they?
I think so. I mean, that was 10 months ago.
I mean, yeah, I guess people on YouTube are bored because I haven't ever seen any of these.
Yeah, I won't tell you about these.
I mean, I don't really.
But we could.
Any of them serious.
But the whole segment could have went for hours. You know, people were really in their keyboarding bag 10 months ago in the summer when we were showing that Julius was just working hard.
It was also COVID.
That's true. Everybody's at home.
People like a little bit of a break.
You were commenting because you were in the house and couldn't do anything. We get it.
So you were mad already.
You were upset with the situation. You saw the shitty ass spin move that you couldn't possibly think a 25-year-old could get any better. We get it. All of y'all, we get it. My bad. We shouldn't do this segment anymore until it's. I can't pull comments from COVID, right? Because the dude was saying LeBum, you could tell he was upset. He didn't even realize he was so mentally drained from COVID that he forgot that LeBron and them wanted a ring. My bad. So no, top 3 scorer of all time.
And he's not a scorer.
LeBum, the facts. So yeah, man. In all seriousness, Julius, keep doing what you're doing, bro. You know, this, like you said, 10 more games, and you know the playoffs will turn you personally into a different type of animal. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to see me.
You'll be getting crazy versus like.
I'll be doing defensive stuff.
Oh man, but no, everybody, you know, out here in Dallas, Knicks fans, everybody, Kentucky fans, Lakers fans still are wishing they had Julius back. So we're proud of you, bro, and just keep handling business. So as we kind of transition into another topic, I want to just say, bro, going back to it, I'm proud of you with the gym. Right here in the middle of Addison, Texas, right in Dallas, North Dallas, bro. And you're having a lot of dudes start to inquire about coming in here. You know, elite high school kids, and now the pre-draft situation is starting up where you got these kids that are coming from top colleges, you know, G League, all this stuff that, you know, these next couple of weeks are going to determine whether they, you know, go back to school or go to the NBA. So just kind of talk about that process with you and, you know, how you kind of work with the agents and, like, how do you prepare for some of these elite athletes to come into your gym and train?
Yeah, well, I mean, it changes every year. You know, like this year, it's been kind of crazy because these kids can all enter the transfer portal, you know, and then they obviously play right away. Like a couple of years ago, that wasn't the case. You know, so like example, Davion Harmon, you know, entered the transfer portal, and now he's going to Oregon. You know, so some of these guys are entering the portal because they want to change schools. Some of them, you know, think they have a legit shot. I think it's all about getting feedback. You know, it's a percentile thing, so they get, you know, you get first round graded, you get second round graded, and then undrafted. So where's your percent? You know, so if you're, you know, 75% first round, 25% second round, you know, you probably come out. If you're 5% first round, you're, you know, whatever it is, 50%, and then 45% undrafted, you know, now you have something to think about. So, you know, they ask all the teams, you know, say this is where we see them at, and then, you know, from there they make their decisions. You know, so it's always a cool process, man. I think it's also like for the kids, it's stressful.
No, for sure.
You know, I think they work their whole lives for it, and then it's right there, and you know, they're just like anything. You know, you're anxious, you want to go and do it, but you still got to make the right decision for yourself. You know, so it's been a different process. You know, a lot of guys I think are going to end up coming back to college. You know, as compared to leaving.
Right.
But it's definitely been fun, man. And we started earlier this year too.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt like we just got done with RJ, and we're back already. You know, which is crazy. I felt like RJ left maybe in September? Not even, like a little bit, yeah, September. And now we started really early April. So it was a quick turnaround, and it's fun to me to see guys away from their college setting. You know, I think in college, some guys get held back, you know, because they want them to play a certain role.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that that's just the way college system is set up. You know, and you know, there's a couple guys we got in here that I think are better than they've shown. One of them is Marcus Garrett. I think Marcus Garrett, you know, has a chance.
Yeah.
You know, 6'6", guards 4 positions. He's better with the ball than people think. You know, he wasn't really able to show too much, you know, as far as like his skill set at Kansas. You know, better shooter than people think. And right now it's just about trying to understand what you need to work on and just lock in and get better at it. You know, but it's a long time ago. We'll have a lot of guys in. I mean, we got guys in we had Colorado State. You know, we'll have, you know, Will Roberts. We'll have Bonaventure. We'll have, you know, guys coming from all over the country. So it should be a crazy summer.
So like we talked about before, you have, I mean, double-digit pro prospects coming in right around now. You would say, I don't know if that number is accurate, a little more.
Yeah.
Enough to where you have to like do it in segmented in groups.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of want you to take the viewers through the process of, okay, the agent hits you up, so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so want to train. This agency over here has so-and-so and so-and-so. How do you decide based on skill sets, how do you group these kids together and just kind of go through your process of when an agent says that their player is going to train with you, what's your process and how do you kind of manage that situation?
Well, I mean, you obviously got to know who the player is. You know, so we'll have, you know, really right now we got a lot of like, we've had a lot of point guards in. You know, so like in a couple weeks, you know, we're probably gonna end up having like 3 groups. You know, so we'll have, you know, Isaiah Stevens, point guard, Colorado State, Max A. Smith, point guard, Oral Roberts, Davion, point guard, Oregon, Marcus Garrett, who's a pre-draft guy, you know, and obviously Max and these other guys. I mean, Davion and Isaiah too. You know, they've gotten some second-round grades. You know, so we'll put them together, and then we really just, I mean, we put them through different actions. You know, the NBA is so much different than college. You know, so there's more spacing. The offense is going to be a little bit different. You know, like yesterday with Marcus, we were working a lot of like post feed split actions and shooting shots off split actions. You know, understanding cuts and how to cut, you know, off post entries. You know, I think Marcus could be a phenomenal cutter because of his size, and his ability to finish at the rim. You know, and then just understanding, you know, their weaknesses, making sure the player understands their weaknesses, and that, you know, my job is to make them better. And they get it, and I keep talking about Marcus, but Marcus is just such a joy because he understands, and you can see the progress right away. And everything intangible-wise for him fits. Length, size, winner, attitude. And so we just need to, clean up a couple things, and then he has a chance. And then, we do bigs. But even with our bigs, we handle a lot.
Absolutely.
Because, and the rest of, the world hopefully is realizing is that, the ability to play make is huge. And no matter if you're a 4, a 5, you got to be able to catch it and attack and be able to make different reads. So, we've been doing a lot of that with those guys because, again, college is a little bit different. We're not going to get put in those situations as much. So a lot of middle ball screens, catching the ball in the middle and being able to attack, make a couple moves, kicks, understanding tags and reads. Second, third defenders, guys seeing different actions and and then obviously shooting and stretching the floor is so key for bigs. Because if they can do that, then they become really hard to guard. And right now you gotta, for the most part, you either gotta be a straight rim runner, be able to catch lobs, and be a great screener, and then be great defensively on the other end, or you gotta be able to catch and shoot, or be a skilled 5 who can make decisions. So each guy is a little bit different. Drew Timme is more of a skilled 5, who can really make reads.
Yeah, for sure.
Drew Timme is super, super, super skilled, and then just with him, it's showing. It's not as much, hey man, we gotta really, mess with your shots. Just he comes in these workouts and he shoots NBA threes effortless, and he just doesn't have that opportunity at Gonzaga because he's so good on the block.
For
so
sure.
If I'm a college coach, I want you to be there because you're gonna get a bucket. In the league, if he gets drafted to the Knicks, that's gonna be Julius. So he's got to learn how to play off Julius, how to be a 5, how to switch the floor and stuff like that. So it's just different roles and making guys understand, where the NBA is different than maybe their previous role in college, and then, trying to get the kids confidence, because some kids come in here and they lack confidence because things have been taken away from their game, so it's trying to get it back.
And do you see that? And is that something that excites you? Is you kind of see a player come in some of these kids and it takes them a while to go through and understand some of the footworks and the reads that you're teaching, but once you see it click, does that excite you?
Yeah, I think it's more you see guys and they're maybe not as confident as they were as high school kids or whatever it was, and it's just trying to get them confidence back. I think that's the biggest thing in basketball. I think it's if you're confident, you're gonna play well.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's number one. And then just the energy, being there for guys, making them work hard, creating a great environment to where they want to be in here and work. I think we got one of the best environments, and really I think in the world as far as the gym. I think it's very family oriented.
For sure.
I think guys love being in here. We got a good group that works with us, with Barrett and Stevens, and we have other guys coming in to help. And if you don't come in here with a smile on your face and you're ready to work, whether you're a coach or a player, this just isn't the spot for you. And I think an environment and a culture is very important, as far as skill development goes.
And I think, you've built a culture so quickly. Like we said, this gym hasn't been open that much, but with people already kind of know a little bit about you. But I think some of them see, the younger you that, is just pretty flashy with the ball and stuff like that, but you've grown and matured and stuff, and people that actually get to see you in a training session, any type of negatives that they've had about you, kind of go out the window. I've had multiple people that have reached out to me that said, hey, what they're doing in that gym looks different. Can I somehow come sit in on a workout and things like that? So people are, gravitating towards this place, whether it's fans of basketball, players, coaches, other trainers and stuff like that. And we've done this in a short time, and you're still going to be expanding. Look out for some news on some expansions in this right here. And like we talked about with the pre-draft and these college players, you're not with them for as long of a time as your elite high school kids, or you're just high school and middle school kids in general. So I want to transition to talk about those kids and specifically grassroots basketball. You've you've made it known you're really not a AAU grassroots type of fan, where you don't really go to a lot of games, but you started this with this gym. You get these same kids in every single day, and they've been family for years now. But just kind of talk about the fact that you've gone to some grassroots events, kind of went to go watch your eyes, and just give us your thoughts on just grassroots in general in Texas and what you've seen.
Yeah, I've been to more grassroots events in the past 3 weeks than I ever have.
Right.
3 tournaments, and I've probably seen like 15 games. I think there's a lot of talent in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. The talent, and the brand of basketball is better. I think Texas Texas has had a lot of good players. I remember when Julius was coming through. It was King McClures and Tyler Davidson, DJ Ho. You had Jew. You had Marcus Smart.
Mm-hmm.
We've had players. But I think now, top to bottom, there's more.
Yeah, for sure.
Like we always had like those guys up top, the Jews, and Tyler Davis was a top 20 kid in the country, but funneling down, like Max A. Smith's perfect example. Under recruited, goes to Oral Roberts and just goes bonkers.
And honestly, I feel like I was one of the only ones, if you YouTube his highlights, I'm one of the only ones that has highlights on him from high school.
Yeah, he was really good in high school.
Yeah, he was good. Obviously nobody could have predicted what he did at Oral Roberts, but yeah, those type of guys, I think.
Isaiah
Stevens, yeah.
Crazy under-recruited.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy under-recruited. So I think top to bottom, there's more talent. I think guys get lost a little bit in the shuffle out here. One, because, you look at Max A. Smith didn't play on Nike, didn't play on Adidas. Isaiah Stevens didn't play on Nike or Adidas, right? If you look at them when they walk in the gym, you understand why. But if you watch their skill sets,
absolutely,
it's off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of what I see in the grassroots is there's some very good skill players, but the athleticism is so far ahead of their skill sets.
Yeah.
And sometimes then they get to college and they start to get better and better and better, and I think that's where it's gotta, we almost play more European now, where it's the court's so much more spread, the fives can make plays, so your skill set, so defensively, there's a lot more switching,
mm-hmm.
right? So back in the day, you were trying to get through things, you were helping recovers, so it was more simple, swing it, attack, swing it, go. Now, there's a lot of switching going on. So if you can switch, if teams are switching 1 through 5, I don't care what you're running, it's not going to work.
Right.
So now you need to be super skilled to play. And I think that's where the game has changed a little bit, and these kids got to realize, you got to play off the mounts. You got to play in space. You got to be able to shoot it from deep. And if you can't do those things, if you can't play make and you don't have those types of things, you're going to struggle at times. And I think that's what a lot of, players do. And then, I think the other thing is in me included, you see different rankings and stuff, and then you get just really hard on oh man, he's not that good. I don't remember me playing 30 AAU games and playing well in every single one.
Right.
You're not gonna always play well, and NBA dudes do it. It's not some of the best players in the world have off nights. So I think we got to take everything into context, but.
And I also think that with that, for you don't go to as many games as I do. I'm at a gym every weekend. I see some of the top players in the country. So I know the highlight game where some of these popular, high-ranked kids, no matter if they have a good game or a bad game, these media services, like Slam and Ball is Life, are paying videographers to be at these games. So they're going to pump out as much content on that kid as possible for the value of the kid. So regardless if a kid went 5 for 18, you're going to see all 5 of those tough buckets most likely. So from somebody that wasn't in the gym, they'd be like, oh, that kid was hooping, when realistically he was having a bad game. So for these evaluators and things like that like a kid, it's almost sometimes, that's why people say that, oh, highlights don't matter. All we're doing is starting a conversation. If you want to dig deeper in and go see that actual box score. But for what a lot of these highlight services are trying to do, they don't care if a kid had a good game or a bad game. If it's a big name, we're going to spotlight it. That just like with LeBron James Jr., he came to Dallas 2 years ago, and he didn't even play that many minutes for Sierra Canyon. And a lot of people in the crowd were like, wait, I thought he was really, really big time. He was only a freshman, but everybody thought he was supposed to be better than B.J. Boston, better than Amari Bailey, better than Micah Peavy and all them kids, and he barely played. So it's just one of those things where the highlight services magnify these kids.
Yeah,
but
perception is different than reality.
For sure. So for you, you're going to...
And it's tough, but LeBron James Jr., that's a perfect example. He's been put on this crazy pedestal, and it's he's a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
So him to play 10 minutes on a stage like that,
absolutely, no,
insane.
For sure.
And I think that's where it gets lost.
Yeah.
It's oh man, he's not that good. It's he's a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put this really into context of what we're talking about. He's playing on a national stage at American Airlines Arena in front of 15,000.
Yeah.
And
that are already wondering why he's not starting and stuff like that.
And who did they play? They played
Duncanville.
So they played a state champion of Texas in front of that, and he's a freshman, and it's he's not that good. It's pump the brakes,
right?
Because everybody in the stands out there, for the most part, 99.9%, never has been on the floor like that.
Yep.
Senior, freshman, whatever it is, and he's doing it as a 14-year-old.
Right.
So that stuff.
So we're always going to see every single play LeBron James Jr. makes.
He's LeBron James' son.
Right.
It is what it is.
But going forward, you've asked me about kids that you've seen on highlights, and you've asked me what I think about them, and I'll give you my honest opinion based on not just the highlights, because we're all going to see what's good.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're getting not a chance, but you're kind of going to see some of your guys that you're training daily, being in these environments, seeing a lot of these top players. And off camera, we've talked about some kids that are not very impressive to you, that rankers and evaluators are just kind of loving, and you just kind of look at it from a different perspective. Just kind of talk about let's just put your evaluator hat on right now. Just kind of look at some tendencies or things that you look at from a kid, whether or not they have a good or bad game, because we understand that you might see one game of a kid and he might have a terrible game, and that's all you're going to see. But you can't just say based off that, oh, I don't like him. Just kind of talk about some things that you look for.
Yeah, I think like you said, not a lot of kids. Some of the kids that have been ranked high, I've seen multiple times, and I just haven't seen it. Physically, you look at them and they check it. They check the box. Athletically, they may check the box. But then they go up against somebody their size and their athleticism, and there's nothing. They can't do anything. They can't get the spots on the floor. They can't score. They struggle, maybe defensively on the glass.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at it more of how do you, if you're a top 10 player in the country, or you're top 20, 25, you should be able to go in and immediately impact a college program, and have tools that translate right away. You know what I mean? And I think just the skill sets of some of these kids, they just have no clue. It's they're trying to force things, or it's there's certain, I'm a big mid-range guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you can get to a spot and rise up, you're a tough guard. And athletically, a lot of these kids would have the ability to do it. They just don't know how.
Right.
And then, like we said, being able to shoot it consistently, I think understanding, roles. And I tweeted yesterday about spacing.
Oh yeah, telling people that on fast breaks they don't need to run all the way to the corner, right?
Yeah,
small things like that.
You're gonna run, if it's a transition, catch it out and go, rim to fan outs, secondaries. Usually you want to sprint, touch the baseline. But these kids are stopping, at the wing. So you got your wing, then the point guard's here. You got your other wing there, and then you got two bigs occupying the block. And it's where are we going? There's no space. There's nowhere to So I think that's another thing is kids understanding, like, get to the corners. Like, you don't have to always play on the ball. If you learn how to play off the ball and off other players and read things off the ball, you could be really good. And then once you have the ball, you do a couple things, and now all of a sudden, off the ball you score 10, on the ball you score 6, you get a couple free throws, and all of a sudden it's like, dang, you got 18. And yeah, so I think it's just like the athleticism is far ahead of not most, but a lot of kids' skill sets.
And would you agree, like, it's almost a battle of both worlds, to where obviously the quote is you can't teach athleticism, but at the same time you can teach skill set, but a lot of times kids don't know how to absorb that. So for example, like we talked about Isaiah Stevens and Max, you know, they didn't pass the eye test of super athletic, super size, but they went into college programs to where they already had a very high skill set and high IQ, to where now naturally the athleticism around them and the size, they adjusted that over time.
Yeah, well, I mean, Isaiah, for example, like Isaiah's been around for a long time. You know, so it was like, you know, and he kept getting better and better and better. And then with college, it was a couple things like we changed, like the ability to rise in the mid-range.
Right, that's one thing you like to do a lot of times. So with Tyler, a lot of times in this gym, you know, the first couple times these kids do this, but you'll say jump as high as you can on your jump shots. So a lot of times they'll jump and you're like, that's not as high as you can.
Right.
So you'll do that on purpose, and like it would be uncomfortable for a lot of times, but for some of these guards, that matters so much.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like you just like get to spots. Like if I can dribble there as fast as I can, just because the angles of how defenders guard you, you know, they're going to be going more downhill. If I can just jump as high as I can, I know I'm going to get that shot up. It's just whether I'm going to make it or not. You know, and it's a lot like we did with Julius this summer. It was like, look, we're going to get there, we're going to get there, we're going to get there. And there's nothing they're going to do about it. You can either make it or you're going to miss it. And from then we'll live with it. You know, but like a Trey Johnson, like this weekend went baseline and just jumped into Mars with a shot. And it was like, you see it and you're like, oh shit, like that's translatable.
Right.
That's translatable to a couple levels. So yeah, and I think Isaiah was just like, I remember him coming in before he was in for Colorado State, and I was like, oh my God. It's quickness-wise, speed, ability to like go wherever he wanted with the ball, rising, shooting, and then talking to him and realizing like, wow, like he really, you know, he gets it. He was crazy on the recruit. He could play.
It's so crazy that he was so crazy under recruited, because a lot of people don't know for a summer he played with Greg Brown on that AAU team, and like he was doing whatever he wanted there. But I guess, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, but it wasn't. That was on what team? Seawolves?
No.
That was
what was the yellow and black team?
Triumph.
Not Triumph. It was the same type of thing.
It was yeah, but it wasn't. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't a Nike circuit.
No.
And it wasn't an Adidas circuit. So you're not going to.
I think it was Adidas, because that's Greg Brown's family.
It was Adidas.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have you're not going to get seen as much. Yeah, but he's just special. I think the skill sets are more and more now. Skill sets are way more important. You know, he played for Lowe, didn't he?
Yeah. I'm trying to see what that team name is. But yeah, he played with the Turner brothers. Baylor.
But like you can see like that.
Yeah.
Like sideline ball screen, come off, draw two, hook over the shoulder, pass to a roller. You know, and the ability for him to play in ball screens, and then like right there, play off the post, shoot with range. And then his quickness is just absolutely asinine.
Oh, it's
He's
different.
He's elite quick. Like that. That's insane skill. So I think, you know, skill sets just gotta. I think college coaches a lot of times, and understandably, get enamored with kids who are just, you just look at them and you're like, oh wow. And then a lot of times those kids that don't look the part, but are crazy skilled, go under recruited, and then all of a sudden you see them pop up at, you know, these different colleges, and they're scoring, they're passing, throwing the floor, because they understand the game. They got things that they can go to in their game that translate to that level. And then you have guys who are just, great athletes.
Right. And a lot of times the thing with that is you're a great athlete. We'll figure out all that other stuff later, and then later comes a little too soon. A lot of times to where they're scrambling to try to figure some things out. Another small guard out of San Antonio I want to show some love to is my boy Jordan Burns out of Colgate. Another example, and it just happens that
great fit though.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He was able to go and do what he does.
And to the fact where
shout out Colgate.
Yeah, and shout out to
Tyler Relph.
Oh yeah.
Hamilton, New York.
And
my brother and dad played college football there.
And Colgate had him go
Red
to
Raiders.
Okay, let's keep going.
Colgate.
Okay.
When I was young, I thought it was just the
toothpaste.
But it's not.
But yeah, with him, like he was similar to the way Isaiah Stevens was. You could tell the pace in the field, he could shoot it. They put him at the prep school for him, and for a lot of kids that are good enough and know they're good enough to want to go sacrifice to go to a prep school. Shout out to him. And you see a lot of these kids pop up with these big performances in the tournament. Why do you think that is? Why do you think like the Max Asmus and like Jordan Burns against Tennessee situations happen for these kids?
I think I don't think that a lot of these high majors understand how good they actually are. They think that they should have beat these guys. And I think the ones when you get these kids in the gym, they're like, no, I'm just as good as you. And when you see them in the gym with those other high major guys, you realize oh man, there isn't a difference.
I've seen that very, very recently.
Yes. And you realize wow, these and it's work, man. You can't tell me Max Asmith isn't a worker. You just can't, because his skill set shows it. Every single time. Jordan Burns, you can't tell me he's not always in the gym. Isaiah Stevens, I know, is always in the gym.
Right.
So with those guys, they spend time. So they walk in the gym, Jordan Burns, Max, Isaiah, and they think they're better than you because they worked for it. And that's where confidence comes in, is when you're in that situation, it's sink or swim. You can't go back and start working out. You can't go back and all of a sudden get a skill set. Either you're ready for that moment or you're not. And I think a lot of these mid-major point guards, one, they're in great situations where they're able to do more, right? So they have, the reins aren't as tight, so they have different skill sets. They start to gain confidence, shoot with range, they do all these different things, and then they play against Tennessee and they're it's not that much different.
Yeah.
It's really not anymore. And I played at St Bonaventure. We're probably going to the preseason top 25. We've never been top 25. And we got. And
you kind of just can tell by the way there were so many upsets in teams. Now it's not as crazy for some of these lower season tournaments to advance.
Oh yeah.
And it's just going to continue to be like that.
No question. And it's just, it is, man. And I keep harping on it, but it's. Athletes are great, but you need some type of a skill set now. There's no, if you look at the NBA now, back in the past it was, you could get away with just being an absolute freak of nature. Now you better do a couple of things really well. You either better be a strapped down, lockdown defender who can make guys take tough shots. I think everybody gets confused that guys in the league are really good, so they're going to get shots. You just got to make it hard.
Yeah.
And then you got to have something to do on the other end. You got to be a great cutter. You got to be a great screener. You got to be either a great passer. You got to shoot it, and you got to understand Draymond Green. Everybody talks about he can't shoot, but in his skill set and his ability to pass, his ability to short roll, his ability to make reads. From up top. And one of the things with Draymond is he actually has the ability to take it off the bounce. So it's not like you can press him, because then he can go by. But
he goes by not in a way it looks good, but he goes by in a way that
he'll get layups.
But he knows what he's doing. It's not a flashy go by, but it's I'm going by you quicker.
So a lot of times those guys play off him. So now he has that ability to see and be that point guard. So watching, Golden State, he has a great IQ for, You know, like everybody thinks, oh, he's looking for Steph. If you watch them, you know, like he had 3 assists to Gary Payton. He had a couple of them older. Because what happens is a pin Steph, and those 2 defenders are worried about Steph. It's Steph Curry.
Right.
The screener will just slip, you know, or Steph will curl, 2 defenders go with Steph, and then, you know, they run those little split actions, and guys will pop and get wide open shots. And I think Draymond just has a great feel for that. And I think a lot of people just say, like, oh, man, he just gets so much stuff off Steph, which he does. He does get a lot of stuff off Steph and Clay, but he also has a great IQ. Like, it's not – you can't just put anybody in the world in that position to think they're going to be successful as a passer and playmaker. And so I think you have to have a skill set that translates to the league, whether it's you got to be a great passer, you got to be able to drive, you know, and make plays happen. You know, defensively, obviously, Draymond's really good. You got to be able to either shoot it, and you got to have something that translates to the next level. You cannot just, not that you can't, but you can't just be an absolute just freak athlete, you know, unless you're like, you know, one of those 7-footers that just screen and rim run and go dunk. You know, mostly you gotta have some type of thing that you do well on the offensive end.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that you kind of showed me as I continue to like watch basketball and things like that, is that I realize that it's easy to be productive as a freak athlete at this level. And, you know, as much as people will say, well, it will translate because they'll add skill, you know, you have to add the skill. And you've seen a lot of times players that don't, whether that's just because of, you know, not knowing how to, or those that are developing them, not developing up maybe the correct way that translates. But a lot of times I'll be like, oh, he had 20 and 10, and you're like, well, it wasn't a translatable 20 and 10 at the next level. And like you said, you saw a lot of matchups in the last couple weekends out at grassroots events where it's athlete versus athlete, same size versus same size, and regardless of who the higher ranked player is, you see right there where
they're nullified.
Yeah.
Like there was no difference in between the two, and that was the part for me. It was like if I'm watching it and I'm watching it unbiasedly, they're not different.
Right.
And that's the whole thing. I think people they watch stuff biasly at times because this guy is ranked higher, and it's like, okay, well, he's better. Based on what?
I think a lot of times with the rankings and the evaluators that are backing these kids that are ranked so high, that kid's going to get the benefit of the doubt regardless.
Right. And I think that's the whole thing, and I think that's why a lot of kids go unnoticed. And look, it's fine. And these evaluations, and you know, like Gasso, I mean, they've been doing it forever, and they've done so good, you know, by these kids. And you're not, as a ranker, it's really hard because you're not always going to get it right. And I think that's the whole thing. It's just, you know, it's not. You're just not. You're not going to hit on every kid, even though some people out here think they do. You're just not. It's just not going to work.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a hard job, you know. And like I told you, I like to see how kids work. You may be very talented, but if you're lazy, you're not going to get better.
Right.
And you're not going to – so that's one thing I wish some of these evaluators would do is, like, I want to see the kid work out. I want to see how hard he goes. I want to see what he does in the gym. Like, is he lazy? Because if he's lazy, he's not going to keep getting better.
Right.
Right? If he's really athletic, but he is, like, locked in and he wants to get better, like, he's going to get better and better and better and better. You know, and I think that's, you know, that is a major key nowadays is your work ethic and just getting better, whether it's here in this gym or somewhere else. It doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
Just trying to, you have to be a worker. If you're not, at some point, the ball is going to stop bouncing for you.
Right. And I think next weekend, in our next episode, we're going to talk more specifically about players that you've noticed. I know there's one kid right now that might be the hottest player on the planet right now. You can say his name if you'd like. Keontae George. He's on another level, and, you know, Tyler's going to kind of break down some of his game and what he's seen, and we'll look at some film off Keontae. And we'll talk about some college players that you think made a good leap, some NBA players, similar to the way, you know, we see the way Julius Randle's taking that next step. And we're just going to kind of break down some players, some tendencies, what you like about them in next week's episode. Hopefully we'll be able to do some more of these going forward now that the gym's kind of running the way it's supposed to. A lot of great content with top high school kids, middle school kids, college, every level really. We have somebody elite walking through that door that we're going to capture on the YouTube channel. As of right now, we're less than 500 subscribers away to 100,000 on YouTube, which is big for us, and we want to thank y'all in advance for all the support. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to listen or watch us. And this, like we said earlier, is lab talk now. We're going to change it from no rules because we ain't really talking that crazy. You know, we might have some 2 a.m., 3 a.m. weekend episodes. We can go back to no rules. But as always, I'm Mike Timmons, a.k.a. I Film Hoopers, and this is Tyler Relph, and thanks for joining us.